I saw a movie, so you didn't have to. With this film, Joker 2, Folie à Deux, you can bid it adieu. You don't have to see it. This is probably one of the worst sequels I think I've ever seen. Beginning to end, all this does is a disservice to the first film and may possibly hurt Todd Phillips' career going forward. That's how bad this is. And I've made this joke a few times now, but it seems like perhaps Todd Phillips was trying to get out of making this. He was going to get a payday, of course, and so was Lady Gaga, and so was Joaquin Phoenix, to the tune of $20 million each. Of course, Lady Gaga only got 10, so you're going to hear a lot about fair pay, probably sometime in the future. But when you look at this film and you see it for what it is, it's a mockery of the first film. They didn't really have anything to work from. Before, they were stealing King of Comedy and Taxi Driver and squishing it together and having a Joker persona. In this film, they actually actively mock the Joker persona. They do not give Arthur Fleck the time of day that he deserves in this particular story. And worse yet, it's a courtroom drama mixed with a jukebox musical and everything that I absolutely expected it to be. A disaster. Beginning to end, it all centers around the court trial of Arthur Fleck, whether or not he's competent to stand trial, whether or not he's going to let his attorney do their job, or whether or not he's going to let Lady Gaga's character Harley steer him astray, which of course he does. He ends up acting his own counsel, and anybody who does that is absolutely the fool. As far as the acting goes, I would say that it was a little uneven for both actors. Joaquin brought some solid moments reminiscent of his previous performance, whereas Lady Gaga maybe didn't know what she was doing with this role for a lot of it, alternating between crazy and not so much, alternating between the derelict that she tried to portray herself as and the absolute rich kid that she turned out to be. Nobody is what they seem in this film, all to its detriment. And I'm going to keep saying that and harping on it, because this is exactly the film that you would make if you were going to attack your audience. That's exactly what Todd Phillips did here. If you loved the first film, you're going to hate this one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or anything in between. Worse yet, 2 of the worst leaks actually turned out to be true. And if you are trying to avoid spoilers, now would be a good time to bail. Except I'll just tell you, this film is bad enough. You may not want to see it in theaters, and you may not want to even see it on streaming. With that said, if you want to avoid spoilers, go ahead. I won't blame you. First, not only did we get the bomb that was leaked early on in a very strange way, but we also got the ending that was, well, given to us after the film festival premiere, which is that Arthur dies by stabbing by someone else who fancies himself the Joker, or at least that's what we're led to believe, or perhaps even assume. The biggest departure from the previous film is a through line, an actual plot, something that drives the story from A to B. That doesn't seem to exist here, at least not directly, intermittently, of course, just like the story. But I believe that the musical element actually interrupts this so frequently that it creates a disjointed mess and something that the audience may not even want to follow, let alone be able to. If I were to suggest that this was an active form of sabotage on a property that, well, should have been much more appreciated for what it became, from a $55 million budget up to something with $1.07 billion, this film, for its $200 million budget plus, is going to be a colossal failure and a giant loss for Warner Brothers Discovery. Whether or not they knew that going in, whether or not somebody else is footing the bill, are all questions to be asked for sure. But I would think that Zaslav would be trying to build up DC in a way to make it more valuable and thus make the entirety of Warner Brothers Discovery, well, better in the stock market. And let me tell you, they could use a little pump up in that area right now. At the end of the day, you just have to ask yourself, do I want to spend 2 hours and 20 minutes in a theater being disappointed or even angered? Because I do believe that some people will walk out of the theater actively angry. I'm not sure that that's particularly healthy. It was just a movie after all, but it might be safer just to avoid it. Now, of course, we have to get to the actual rating, and we'll start out with the 10-point scale first before we get to the 5-star. Believe it or not, this thing is one of the worst films I've seen all year, falling down to a 3.5 out of 10, which isn't very good. 35% of 100 puts you well below failing, and this movie failed in just so many different areas. When you flip over to the 5-star scale, then you kind of will understand why I'm only giving it 1.5 stars. I can't give it any more. And I don't feel like this film delivered on any of the things that it promised. Not that it had a whole lot of promise to begin with. And with successive performances from Joaquin Phoenix being this disappointing, between this role and Napoleon, he's fallen out of my most favored actor status, and I don't think I'll care to see anything else he does in the future. Lady Gaga, on the other hand, does have some redeeming qualities, although I really don't buy her as an actress anymore. And I used to think quite highly of her after the American Horror Story Hotel and her performance in that, along with her performance in A Star is Born, where I thought she did, she acquitted herself quite well. Overall, I consider my 2.5 hours of time a complete waste from the time I entered the theater until the time I walked out. This doesn't feel like a DC movie, not that the previous one did either, but at least the previous film felt like a movie and something that I would like to see more than once, and have. This film I wouldn't suggest seeing once, which is probably the worst thing you can say about a movie. This thing will be the bomb that I've been calling it out for all week, and it could actually help sink Warner Brothers, at least in the near term. I have a sense that something else was at play here, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. But if you do, or have an inkling of what was going on here that maybe I missed somewhere along the way, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And if you've seen this movie, let me know if your experience was the same. Not just disappointment, but just frustrated. And if you magically avoid this film, well, bless you, because you're going to count yourself actually very, very lucky. And if you would like to review this film further, go ahead and use the comment section for that as well. On that note, while you're down there, do hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you are still subscribed, and if you're not, please do so. We're trying for 50K, and I'm trying to give you as many videos and live streams a day as I possibly can in order to earn your subscription. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.